So you want to learn how to add an HDRI to Unreal Engine? Well, you came to the right place. If you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe. And thank you so much to all the members. If you want to support me, please consider joining. And with that, let's get into it. Okay, so right here we have a basic scene. And at the top here for the sky, we have Unreal Engine's just basic environmental lighting. And it's good, but it's not great. So if you want realistic kind of looking sky, the best thing to do is use an HDRI. So to set up an HDRI, you can go over here to Edit and Plugins because we need to activate the HDRI plugin. So just go to the search bar, type in HDRI, click on HDRI Backdrop. You're gonna have a little Restart Now button pop up in the bottom right. Click that and restart your system. Once you've restarted, the next thing you can do is actually download a cube map to use for your HDRI. So what I found is the two best resources is Polyhaven and Polygon. Both of these are great resources. My one thing that I do want to call out is a lot of these will have kind of a landscape in the scene, which you don't really want. I do know that HDRIs lets you kind of filter down to only pure skies. So all these are just pure skies, which tend to be more helpful. But generally speaking, all HDRIs will work. Pure skies usually are the best because it means if you're having like kind of a flat ground, it's not gonna have any like light poles or buildings sticking out on the sides. So find an HDRI, download it. And once you do so, you can do Control Space and go over to Import. Once you go over to Import, find the HDR that you downloaded, click on it and click Open, and it'll pop in. In our case, I already did it, which is this one right here. Now to actually bring in the HDRI, you can go over here to the box of the plus, go down to Place Actress Panel and type in HDRI. You're gonna have this right here, drag and drop it into your scene. Now, the first thing I want to note is I dragged and dropped it into my scene with the environment light mixer already in there. So the lighting is a little weird. So the first thing we want to do is actually go through and make sure that all the old Unreal lighting is gone. So I'm going to delete the directional light, exponential height fog, sky atmosphere, skylight, and volumetric fog. Now I can click on the backdrop itself, go over to the right here in the details panel where it says intensity, or sorry, where it says size, and increase this to 4000. That way we get a nice big HDRI that's going to be affecting our scene. The next thing is you can click on the HDRI, click W on your keyboard to get the gizmo for location, and you can just drag it down so it's not clipping at the bottom of our scene. Now, if you want to actually add in your HDRI that you brought in, you can go over here to the right where it says Cube Map, click on this and click on the HDRI you brought in. Now, immediately you're going to see some changes occur. I would suggest that you bring in what is called a post-process volume. So if you click on the box with the plus, go to volumes, you can click on the post-process volume. Here, if you go to the search, you can go to bound and click infinite extent unbound, and then you can type in EXP and lock in the exposure. I'm going to do -2 for this scene. That way, one, just to explain what happened, the bound for post-process will affect the entire scene. If you don't click that first bound for infinite extent unbound, it'll only affect what's inside this box. The next thing I did is when I first brought in the HDRI, you kind of saw that it was dark and then it slowly got lighter. What's happening there is the exposure in the scene is going to fluctuate between, at this time, 10 and 20, which you don't necessarily want. You want it to stay the same. That way you can key in the lighting appropriately. So by doing the min and max EVs, you lock in the exposure. Now, the next thing you can do to kind of get the look you're looking for is you can rotate your HDRI to move it around and kind of get the piece of sky that you want. One thing I do want to note is as I'm moving it, you can actually tell that the sun is moving around it. But if you feel like the sun isn't kind of offering enough light, you can add a directional light to this. So to do that and set that up correctly, go over to the box of the plus, go over to lights, click on directional light, add in the directional light. In this case, now that we have the exposure set, we're going to see an accurate lighting. I'm going to reduce the lux to 2, so it feels a little more organic, maybe just 1. And then the next thing you want to do is actually bring it to where the sun is in your HDRI. So I'm going to grab this and kind of move it around. And then the next thing you want to do is actually bring it to where the sun is in your HDRI. So I'm going to grab this and kind of move it around. And then the next thing you want to do is actually bring it to where the sun is in your HDRI. So I'm going to grab this and kind of move it around. And then the next thing you want to do is actually bring it to where the sun is in your HDRI. So I'm going to grab this and kind of move it around. And then the next thing you want to do is actually bring it to where the sun is in your HDRI. So I'm going to grab this and kind of move it around. And then the next thing you want to do is actually bring it to where the sun is in your HDRI. So I'm going to grab this and kind of move it around. And then the next thing you want to do is actually bring it to where the sun is in your HDRI. So I'm going to grab this and kind of move it around. And then the next thing you want to do is actually bring it to where the sun is in your HDRI. So I'm going to grab this and kind of move it around. And then the next thing you want to do is actually bring it to where the sun is in your HDRI. So I'm going to grab this and and connect it to where the sun is in the HDRI. Once I do that, I can actually click on both and move them around to get a little better accurate lighting. And just like that, you've now set up your HDRI, the appropriate lighting, and your scene is looking a lot more realistic when it comes to sky. So per usual, please like and subscribe. Hope you guys like the tutorial, and I'll see you on the next one.